Since email communication is one of the most common business types of communication today, chances are you already have an email program that you're using. So you're already familiar with how to use that software. Well, you'll be glad to know that ACT can integrate with your email program. That is, as long as you're using one of the most common email programs, such as Microsoft Outlook, Outlook Express, Eudora, or Lotus Notes. In fact, if you're using Microsoft Outlook, you'll find that the integration is almost seamless. And Microsoft Outlook is by far the most commonly used email program. Now, if you're already using email and you just want ACT to integrate with what you have, then what you need to do is tell ACT about your email. The way that we do that is that we go to the Tools menu on the toolbar, click on Tools, and then we're going to come down and click on Preferences. That brings up the Preferences dialog box. Then on the Preferences dialog box, we're going to click on the Email tab. And as you can see, my system is already set to work with Microsoft Outlook. But how did I do that? Well, actually, I did it when I set up the system to begin with. When I set up ACT, I chose to use Microsoft Outlook as my email. But if I hadn't, then I could click on Email System Setup, which brings up the wizard. If we click on Next, it says, OK, what do you want to use? And it will sense the email systems that you have in your system and then allow you to choose those. Click on Next. Do I want to change any settings? No, not right now, but if I did, I could change Outlook settings, I could edit signatures, so we can use the wizard to our advantage. Click on Next, and then Finish, and it's as simple as that. Once we have chosen the email program, then we can choose the composing options. For example, do we want to send our emails in HTML or in plain text? What do we want the default priority to be? Low, normal, or high? What about the history options that ACT is going to store? Subject only, subject plus message, or attached to contacts? So we can set the system to work with our own email. This is also where we would select to request a return receipt. In other words, if we're sending an email to someone that is very important, we might want a message on there that says, please give me a return on this message, and all they have to do is just click to let us know they received the message. We can also set reply and forward settings. So you'll notice that most of these settings are the same as what you have in your own email. So you can use them to integrate or to even further facilitate your email through ACT. We click on Signatures, we can add signatures, and a signature, of course, identifies me to the person so that they don't have to go back through the body of the email or back to the header of the email to remember who it was, especially with a long email. It identifies me at the end. So we can set the composing options, we can set the folder settings. For example, do I want to empty the deleted items folder on exit? Typically, I don't want to do that. I want to keep the deleted items in there until I delete them. Then, when connected, notify me. For example, I've got it set for 3 minutes now. I could roll that down to 1 minute. I could put it up to more time than that. Mark email that's read in a preview pane as read after a certain number of seconds, so that as I read emails through the preview pane, does it count those as being read, and how long does it take? Do I want to play a sound when a new email arrives? Again, these are settings that you'll probably find on your own email, especially if you're using Microsoft Outlook. But we can use these to tweak settings for ACT or to just complement. In other words, the system integrates. Now, when I say the system integrates, what I mean is it really does integrate. What you'll see is that when you choose to use ACT as your email and then you go into the ACT email, you go in and take a look at the inbox and the send mail and the features that ACT has, it'll look a lot like, especially if you're using Outlook, it'll look a lot like your own email, but it's really just an overlay of your email. In other words, if you were to delete a message in Act, it would actually delete the message in your own email. So the next thing that we're going to do is, now that we've set the system to work with Microsoft Outlook, next we're going to take a look at Act Email and see how it actually integrates with Microsoft Outlook. That's next.